Good morning, everybody. As I mentioned, I'm Kingsley Hughes, architect from Designscape. I've been doing this for about 30 years. Various parts of the world. I've worked in Sydney and 10 years in Hong Kong. I've been back here 15 years now in England. Went and formed Designscape, my own company, about 11 years ago now. So what I'll do, I'd like to just rattle through some of the projects that I mentioned. Because we do everything.
Sorry, Lottie, can you move your flowers? Sorry, I can't see the screen. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, thanks for that, Lottie.
That's right.
Can you move them this way so I can't see the screen?
You can nod off, mate, if you want.
Only if you buy them, Gary.
But like I said, we do everything from rear extensions to one-off houses to estates and blocks of flats. So I thought what I'd do basically is go through examples of each of those things that we've done recently. Just to give you a full spread of what we do. Right, this should work perfectly. I've timed it, so it lasts about 7.5 minutes or so. Which should give you enough time for a couple of minutes for questions at the end. Right, this one is in Rochester. Small extension. The thing on the left is what exists at the moment. This is in a nice area, St Margaret Street, so it's just opposite the prep school of King's School, so a really nice area. Ugly flat roofed extension there at the moment, which we demolish, put in a lovely pitched roof extension and a pure glass box. Really small extension in many ways, but you ask the reason why would I bother, that's why you'd bother. So what is a really tiny, ugly, dark little kitchen at the moment would be a beautiful, beautiful space. The glass box would be a beautiful, pure glass box. We're going to use some guys that are using a project in London Bridge at the moment. So it wouldn't be a typical conservatory. It would be a lovely, lovely thing, top spec. Basically, hopefully it will go John Young's way for the building. 25 grand for the builder, 25 grand for the box. Beautiful space. This one is in Chatham. Really weird shape site. Because the guy needs to get back into his garage, so really squid shape, knocking through with the existing, you get a really, really nice space. So what could be a boring extension actually becomes something a bit wacky and a bit different, like a mini grand design. And that's the beauty of doing extensions. You can spend a bit of money and it completely transforms your quality of life. We're lucky that we live here in the southeast, because property values are always such that you're always pretty much guaranteed to get your money back, and then some as well. So you can actually create money, which has got to be a good thing, compared to living, say, in Middlesbrough or Hull, where that wouldn't necessarily be the case. This is a fantastic job we're doing in Orpington. This is another kind of rear extension. This is going to cost £500,000 just for the extension. Everything, the back third, if you like, of what even looks like the old-fashioned bit, that is all brand new. And then the bit lower, with a patio on top, we can have a swimming pool inside, cinema room, etc. So really, really stunning property. I've done 3 houses in this same street in Orpington on the Chelsfield Park estate. And there, exactly, you can print money. He's going to add value. It's right at the limit of what he can add, but I did the first £1 million house in that street. People Google or go on Bromley's website, who got planning in my street? Of course I pop up. And success obviously breeds success. And that's true wherever you go. This is Martin Beckenham's new house. And if you've ever been to Martin's place, it's got a beautiful, beautiful site. His house is crap. It's crap. It's like an old cop bungalow that's damp, it's falling apart. You can push your hand through the walls. His wife hates it, Martin now hates it. Knock down and rebuild. It's impossible to get a new house on the Downs. But you can do what's called a replacement dwelling. Knock down and rebuild. The idea behind Martin's is that it's a beautiful little log cabin, almost like a log cabin in the woods. But it would be a brand new house. So it looks really demure and small from the front. From the back, it really will be quite stunning, almost like a barn conversion. And super, super eco. Martin is committed to it being eco, which obviously the planners love, the government love. That helps you get planning as well. So it'll be super insulated, lots of pieces of kit. That's a couple of views of inside his main open plan living room stroke kitchen, and it will be absolutely stunning. He had a previous architect on board 2 or 3 years ago who was trying to convince him to spend about 100 grand to build an extension on the back of his crappy house. Martin realised, even before he got me on board, that would be a waste of money, throwing good money after bad. He said, I think we're better off doing a knockdown and rebuild. And I said, you're absolutely right. This place would probably only cost about 120 grand for a brand new house. His heating bills would be about £200 a year instead of £1,300 a year. It's a no-brainer, as they say. We don't just do drawings and pretty pictures. This is a real job on site. The sun was behind that, unfortunately. There's not much I could do about that at that time of day. This extension was £200,000 in Aylesford. I'll give you a little trick later how to work out your ballpark if you ever want to think about doing an extension. This one is in Bearsted, near where I live. It's right bang next to the Tudor Park Marriott Hotel, which is a very, very nice hotel. Rear extension, this one's £100,000. What we've done there, we've extended upstairs there in quite a traditional way to blend in with the existing building. And the single-storey bit is very, very modern, like a pure glass box. Going up a bit in scale now, this is the thing over in Herne Bay. This is the old ambulance station, C Street, Herne Bay. We're going to knock down and build a centre for retired servicemen, ex-servicemen who often find it hard. A lot of the tramps you see in England are ex-servicemen. They've given their lives to the country, we treat them like crap. Okay? This place, it's not intended to be there permanently. The idea is they come and live here for a couple of years and get back into society. The idea is to have 2 blocks. It's almost like student accommodation in many ways, with communal stuff downstairs in that fancy bit you saw. The idea is guys spend most of the time downstairs, having a social environment. This is the first elevation we did. We saw the planners from Canterbury City Council. A couple of things they said, which I guessed before we even got there. Can you please chop a storey off the top, it's too high. And secondly, can you make it look more residential, which we're going to do, we're going to do that for them. That's a detail of that middle bit that I showed you, which is the communal part. There'll also be lots of outreach. The idea is these guys get out into the community a lot of the time and hopefully learn trades. Trades, John's line of business, building, is a good way where people who are not academic could earn a very, very good living. And ditto having the community come in with facilities. Sorry, mate. There'll be a session soon, mate, don't worry. This is our block of flats in Fulham. This is Fulham Broadway, up in town. Incredible value. Obviously these flats are £1 million a piece, and that's for the small ones. The white building is our building. We've had a couple of meetings already with Hammersmith and Fulham Council, just to make sure they're on board before we put the thing in. The pink purpley thing is what we think is quite an ugly existing block of flats, built about 8 years ago. There's a lovely little pub there, where all the Chelsea fans go before a match. Stamford Bridge is just around the corner. Like I say, this is our lovely block of flats, but we think it's lovely anyway. Right there on Farm Lane, like I say, just off Fulham Broadway. So really that gives a full sort of span of what we do. It's done the loop now. So basically everything, from little extensions to really big extensions to new houses. I'm not showing the housing estates, but there you go, you can't get everything in. To big blocks of flats, both in Kent towns. We've done 4 blocks of flats now in Maidstone town centre alone, and up in town, up in London. So the quick trick about the extensions, basically buildings now in this part of the world cost about £100 a square foot. So everybody knows what a square foot looks like. That's for new build. Extensions actually cost more than building a new house. And the reason for that is what they call knocking through and making good. Obviously fiddling around with the old house. So I always tell people to times that by 1.4. So if you want an extension, just measure it out, £100 a foot, times 1.4, that would be a very, very good indication of what it would cost you. Otherwise, come and see me, I'll do your design, give you an hour free of my time, no obligation, and give you a bit more advice about how to take that forward. Okay, any questions?
Kingsley, have you been asked to do any basements?
Basements?
Yeah, go underground.
Yeah, we've never ever done any, to be honest. Well, I'll tell a lie, I did do one over Canongate Road on Hythe, which wasn't really just an extension, it was a new build, cut into a hillside. From the street, it looked like a 1-storey building. got planning, cost of that. But the other side was actually a 3-storey building, because she actually went in at the middle level, loft conversion with the dormers and deluxes on the other side, which is what it looked like a single-storey building, and the basement cut in, fully tanked to the hillside. I say, can I get very high?
Time for one more question.
Okay.
Just with the glass box, that system is going to be too hot during the summer and too cold during the winter. Is that the case?
No, it's all balanced out. There are ways of getting around the building regs and making sure it's perfect. 2 of the reasons are you have to make sure the glass doesn't exceed 25% of the floor area of the building. And obviously the glass is absolutely top spec in this case, and also, which is more common, argon filled and low emissivity, which helps keep that down. But you do need to keep the proportions in check. So if you've got lots of glass, you do need quite a lot of building as well as.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.